welcome everybody here to the Redlands Chamber of Commerce State of the Community Luncheon. An extra special thanks to Southern California Edison for helping make this possible. I am Dani Bashu from Redlands Blueprint. I am the queen of the chamber. And at this time, I would like to ask John Walsh, the chaplain of the U of R, to come up and say the invocation.
Let us pray. In the name of all that is sacred and holy, we seek your blessings for our community, for all those who serve our city as elected officials or as appointed or professional workers. May your Spirit guide them in all that they do. For the people of Redlands who work so hard to make this the wonderful community it is, we give you thanks. For our firefighters and police, we give you thanks. For our teachers and administrators, we are grateful. For those who provide us with the materials that make our lives livable, and for all those who make those institutions function, we are thankful. As we celebrate our past, may our visions for the future make us even more proud to be a part of the city of Redlands. Amen.
Thank you, John. And now I would like to ask Mayor Pro Tem Paul Foster to come up and lead the Pledge of Allegiance.
Will you please rise? Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our great nation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated.
Oops. My first faux pas, I'm so sorry, it's Southern California Gas Company. Wrong utility. Without further ado, Mayor, City of Redlands Mayor Pete Aguilar.
Thank you, I think, Dani. We will call this officially this special meeting of the City Council to order and ask for any public comment before the council. We'll also have an opportunity for questions and public comment after more formal remarks as well. Any comments out of the gate? We have to check that box for the Brown Act and the city clerk. He runs a tight ship. I wanted to introduce my council colleague who will talk about the 125th anniversary. We have a lot of activities, and Paul has been not only on the committee but championing those efforts. So your Mayor Pro Tem and our friend, Mayor Pro Tem Paul Foster.
I had to ask Pete's wife if he could even be up here because he left his cell phone on his chair, and I was afraid he was going to have some kind of reaction by not having it in his hand. It's an appendage. And relative to birthdays, you know, the rest of the council keeps trying to invite Pete to join ARP, but he keeps refusing the option, you know, with us. So, but he's hanging tight with us. Just very briefly, our 125th anniversary has been a very positive activity this year in the city of Redlands, and it's been embraced by many members of the community and a lot of community businesses and organizations. And so I first want to start by saying thank you to all of those that have contributed to making it a success, starting with the Kiwanis Club of Redlands Noon that started us off this year with our Christmas parade. We had various events throughout the first part of the year, but what I wanted to focus on was kind of what we've done from the spring forward. Excuse me. The most recent milestone really was our enormous Heritage Park project. That was the Day of Service project held in late April, led by our Redlands Service Club Council and the leadership of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This was the initial phase of the park's construction, and on that day, almost 3,000 people turned out, representing over 100 groups and community organizations to help bring the first phase of the park into reality. We certainly are indebted to the city staff, the leadership of the Redlands Service Club Council, and the LDS Church for leading the way on that project. As it continues to develop, Heritage Park will be a very unique city park in that it is going to be an educational site for the community and for our visitors, where they can basically walk through a history of Redlands. Its location adjacent to the Ostastencia mission and the Benjamin Barton House will enhance this educational opportunity that the park offers. As I speak to you today, I know of 4 groups in town that are working, doing fundraising and developing projects for the next phase of the park, and I'm confident that our city team will ensure that these efforts are supported to the fullest extent possible. If you haven't visited the park, its location is on Orange Avenue off of Alabama below the Ostastencia and the Footlighters Theater, and I would encourage you all to go out and take a look at it and take a walk already through the park. As we got close to Memorial Day weekend, many of the anniversary branded events began to take place. Our friends at the Redlands Community Hospital held a celebration of the births at their hospital and the multi-generations of residents and patients from their hospital that are still part of the Redlands community, and that was one of our branded events. Perhaps one of the most significantly successful ones was the first annual Redlands Festival of the Arts. And it was a great event. I hope all of you had a chance to go and be part of that. And we certainly want to give a shout out to Shirley Harry and former council member Jerry Bean for their efforts. Shirley, thank you very much. This weekend, there is a joint anniversary committee and YMCA Beach Boys tribute concert at the Redlands Bowl at 7 p.m. This will be free to the public, and I'd like to thank Darwin Barnett, our Chief Executive Officer from the Y and the Y Board for supporting this, and its President, Shelley Stockton. Thank you, Darwin, appreciate it. Saturday's going to be a very busy day in town, so you've got lots of things to go to if you would like. The Redlands Community Music Association is celebrating its 90th anniversary this year. So together, we are branding the event for the season and calling it Celebrating Together. Banners will be going up on the bowl, celebrating both the city's anniversary and the RCMA's 90th anniversary, and will be there throughout the festival. And in addition, I believe there's one concert, perhaps 2, that are actually being dedicated to the anniversary. With the support of our wonderful 4th of July committee, the celebration of our nation's birth will also celebrate our city's anniversary, so that's coming up. Please enjoy that. We continue to conduct and film oral histories of residents that have seen our community grow and blossom over the decades. These will be a permanent part of our heritage room at the Smiley Library. And in an abbreviated fashion, you've been seeing these same interviews printed in the Daily Facts, and we're grateful to the Daily Facts for their support of that effort. As we move forward towards the accumulation of the anniversary year, November will probably be our busiest month. A Citizens Committee of the Anniversary Committee, chaired by last year's Man of the Year, George Barrich. I don't know if I saw George come in or not. I know his brother Paul is here. But George and the committee are putting together the final touches on the 125th anniversary extravaganza. Now, when I first started talking about this and we formed the committee, it was going to be a dinner downtown like they did for the 100th. Then it kind of became a fair. And then as this committee grew and the event grew, it became so big that they now titled it an extravaganza. It'll be a one-day event held on Saturday, November 2nd. The event venue will be throughout Smiley Park, the Redlands Bowl, Smiley Library, the Lincoln Shrine, and all of the State Street downtown area. There'll be entertainment throughout the event at the Redlands Bowl. There'll be a dinner and in the dinner area in Smiley Park and downtown at Ed Hales Park. There'll be a wonderful barbecue dinner served with 2 seatings for 1,000 people each. There'll be an art show, historical tours, children's tours, a kids zone. The downtown merchants are being asked to support with special events that day. And finally, the day will be topped off, if everything goes according to George's plans, with a grand fireworks display with music at the bowl that evening. So we encourage you all to come and be part of this truly historic event on that day, so mark your calendars. The second November event is being led by our city clerk, and we love our city clerk, Sam Irwin. And this will be the first Veterans Day parade that the city of Redlands has had in many, many years, honoring those that have faithfully served our nation. Sam and a group of gentlemen are putting that together, and it looks like it's going to be a very, very special event on that special day. The final touches are being put on a musical that will be highlighting the history of Redlands and will be performed right here at the University of Redlands and Memorial Chapel. This will be a community production composed specifically for the anniversary and will include appearances by some of our most well-known citizens. The performances will be November 15th and 16th. As many of you know, through a generous grant, this is my employer plug, Through a generous grant from the Kaiser Permanente Medical Care Program, since December of 2012, work has been ongoing on a video production for the anniversary that highlights the tremendous contributions that philanthropy has played in the development of our community into the jewel of the Inland Empire that we enjoy today, and how our future will continue to be blessed by ongoing generosity of community members in donating very significant things to our city. I've already had an opportunity to see some of the work being done by Work and Play Productions, and it's really a terrific start that they have so far. In addition to Alan Sue Stevens, I'd like to thank Don McHugh, Nathan Gonzalez, Cheryl Williams, and Carl Baker, and a very special thanks to Larry Burgess for their help in putting together this very, very significant production. Larry is going to be the narrator, as probably all of you would have expected to be on that. The video will be premiered on the actual day of our incorporation, November 26th, at an Esri Forum event, at which time we will also have a great big anniversary cake to celebrate the end of the anniversary season. And with that event, we'll bring the anniversary year to a close. When we started the idea of having a Quasqua Centennial event, I really didn't know how big and elaborate it was going to get, and it's only been possible through the donations that have been made by sponsors and individuals. We've raised over $75,000 to date, and that has helped make this all possible. There are many things I haven't covered here today. There's a wonderful publication about the history of our city's churches and the role that religious organizations have played in the development of Redlands that you can purchase. They're for sale in the city clerk's office and a number of other locations. The folks at Citrograph put that together. Thank you, Al. It's a beautiful production. We always are looking for more financial support, so if any of you would like to be a sponsor and help out, please let me know. Finally, I would like to thank the Anniversary Committee. This is a group of about 30 citizens that stepped up and have been willing to help us with this throughout the year, all of them taking on individual pieces of the effort to make sure it was successful. I'd also like to thank our city manager, Mr. Martinez, for his support, the city staff for their support, and especially my city council colleagues, both current and Councilmember Bean, who was very instrumental in helping all this happen as well, for their tremendous support of this celebration. And with that, I thank you for the opportunity to give you an update, and I look forward to seeing you at all these events. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. The work that the Anniversary Committee is doing reminds us that we truly are the jewel of the Inland Empire with all of the volunteer activity that has been contributed. I want to thank, just like Paul mentioned as well, Redlands City staff, as well as Janice McConnell and specifically Carl Baker in the city manager's office for putting today's material together. The material that you have in front of you that talks about our accomplishments and sustainability efforts. We expect you to take that home and memorize it. There'll be tests in the future. Finally, thanks to the folks at the Chamber and Southern California Gas Company for sponsoring today's State of the Community. It's a great opportunity to take stock of what we've accomplished and talk about where we're headed as a community. I've been looking forward to today's gathering. I've always said that Redlands is a special place. It's a place where people can make a decent living, raise a family, and be part of a great community. This doesn't happen by accident. It takes commitment and cooperation from all of us, whether we're in business, public sector, or civic organizations, or citizens of Redlands. I'm pleased that we have a high level of collaboration here in Redlands. Indeed, one of the key reasons that this works is because we're working together. To be sure, we have much to do to improve the city, and our expectations are as high as they should be. But our progress is all the more promising when you consider the broader economy that is not fully turned around, and some cities and communities in the Inland Empire and other areas of California who continue to struggle financially. One of our main goals as council members and those on city staff is to get the fundamentals right. That means keeping Redlands on solid financial footing, delivering city services as cost effectively and efficiently as we can, and pursuing policies and investments that will contribute to Redlands' vitality in the years to come. So I'd like to talk about some of those main areas of focus for us. Keeping our fiscal house in order, improving our roads, parks, and public spaces, helping businesses and encouraging new enterprises, and keeping our neighborhoods safe. Keeping Redlands on sound financial footing is a must. It's essential to everything we want to achieve as a city. Over the past several years, we've had a good track record. We've balanced the last 4 city budgets. We've created a $7.5 million contingency reserve for financial emergencies, and we've improved the city's credit rating, reducing our costs of future borrowing. We must never take our eye off the ball with respect to our city finances, especially in an economic climate that is less than certain. But our financial decisions have given us the ability that many cities and towns lack today to carefully and thoughtfully make investments that can lead to a better community in the years ahead. One of the most important investments we've needed to make is in our basic infrastructure, improving our roads, parks, storm drains, and other public spaces. Let's face it, our streets were in poor shape, rated 53 out of 100 according to a recent analysis. I'm told that much like my time here on campus, 53 out of 100 leaves a little to be desired. The good news for us is that we can and we will do better. Our adopted pavement management plan that we affectionately call Paris is an ambitious yet sensible plan to improve the condition of 2/3 of our city's streets and roads over the next 5 years. The plan also provides for the maintenance of those roads so we don't see further degradation in the years to come. The project will be phased and competitively bid at every step of the way to ensure that public dollars are spent in the most cost-effective way possible. People are noticing the improvements already. In an April 4th letter to the editor to the Redlands Daily Facts, a resident stated, and I quote, "As one who criticized the Redlands Council and city government last summer for the poor condition of our streets and roads, I am now compelled to express my congratulations to our city government for the marked improvement in that maintenance. Over the past few months, many of our most traveled roads have been repaved so that they may serve all citizens in their daily travels." He went on to say, "I commend the city for the new bicycle lanes and markings now being provided in the critical traffic arteries. As one who enjoys cycling in town, I feel the markings add safety for vehicles, drivers, and cyclists. Please keep up the good work," end quote. We're pleased that residents are noticing. Revitalizing Redlands infrastructure is a significant undertaking, but other actions can be important in making the city work better. For example, an important step forward was advanced by Councilmember Gardner and accepted by all of us on the council to equip our most well-used park restrooms with automatic doors and timers to lock after hours. This simple action will reduce vandalism and help protect our investments. Let me talk for a moment about the economic engine that will keep Redlands vibrant. Most of you will agree that helping small businesses thrive is key to creating jobs and improving the local community. And we want to make sure that the city is doing the right things to support existing businesses, in addition to encouraging new ones to relocate and to start their ventures right here in Redlands. That's why in the last year, we started 2 programs, a microenterprise grant program and economic development loan program, supported by federal community development block grant funding, to create opportunity for the establishment and expansion of small businesses while encouraging income-qualified workforce hiring. In the past year, we've also partnered with our Regional Council of Governments, Sandbag, and a private financial company to provide economic incentives to help improve the environmental efficiency of local businesses. Under this PACE program, a business could qualify for a low-interest loan to invest in equipment that will reduce their energy needs and lower their environmental footprint and their monthly utility costs. This program has proven to be successful in Riverside County, and we look forward to its implementation. It goes without saying that we all share the same vision of a downtown that is a catalyst for creating energy, adding consumers and travelers to our downtown corridors. So we're pleased that the current mall owners have indicated an interest in moving forward to sell. We're not aware that the final deal has been consummated, but we hope that the parties involved will be a good match and will take positive steps to revitalize our downtown with private development. Combined with the Redlands Rail investment, we're excited about the future of downtown. Public safety and keeping our community safe is another top priority that has been the focus of our work each and every day. We pride ourselves and our safety organizations on maintaining good response times, offering proactive community engagement, and utilizing technology to improve services offered to residents. But there are some challenges on the horizon. The effects of local realignment of our prison systems may require new approaches, and it may require additional resources. Our priority is a safe community, and while we need to monitor the financial impact of public safety, we need to leverage our scarce resources and accept additional grant dollars for new positions if offered. We also have an aging fleet within both departments and are taking proactive steps to plan for and address these issues. Recently, the city partnered with San Bernardino County and a half dozen other cities to support a highly successful gun buyback program. In Redlands, there were 308 guns removed from the streets, including 10 assault weapons. When it comes to the safety of our residents, we will explore every opportunity to collaborate and work together. Keeping our financial house in order, making wise investments that support job creation and economic development, and keeping our neighborhoods safe. These are the fundamentals to Redlands' future and priorities for myself, my fellow council members, and others who serve our city. I believe we'll see even greater evidence of progress in the years ahead. For example, we're optimistic about the business future in Redlands, serving as a destination for companies that wish to appeal to a strong customer base in the region. We know that Redlands is a great place for a company looking to have a presence in the region. We could have just asked this crowd years ago. These folks are a little late to the party, but we'll welcome them with open arms. We'll also do our best to see that they create jobs, minimize the impact to our local streets and roads, and deliver revenue benefits to the city. As I said at the beginning of my talk, I believe how we work together has been just as important as what we do as a city. Every day, the City Council puts politics aside and focuses on delivering solutions to the most pressing concerns. We have a lot of help, but for me personally, it's the single most refreshing thing about local government. I was proud on the city workday, as Paul mentioned. In April, the entire City Council joined with school board members, city staff members, and a few thousand of our closest friends to participate in working together to help the Service Club Council and the Mormon Helping Hands transform that park. We won't always agree, but I'll gladly pick up a shovel and go to work any day of the week with this group. As I've said before, I think we all learn more from your questions and your comments than we do in organized and set up speeches. So at this point, I'd like to open the forum and ask if you have any questions for me and my council colleagues. We'd be happy to try to field those, and this will be the second public comment portion of the City Council agenda.
So in studying for my test on the information brochure, I noticed that there was a conspicuous lack of detailed financial information about the city. However, I do understand that we're doing very well. We did notice that you talked about the reserves. In the brochure, it says we have 14.9 million. So sometime between when that was published and now, we've lost 7 million worth of reserves.
No.
Anyway,
Sure.
clarify that.
Sure.
The big question is, that's a lot of money to have around. That's a good thing. But I also understand that the treasurer is recommending that you take steps to get the best use of that reserve money for the future. And can you elaborate on what some of those ideas are?
Sure. Thanks for the question, Jeff. First of all, for those that haven't perused the city's website, we have a lot of information on there. And if you click on the item, city manager, and go through the departments, you can see our audited financials. You can see the budget that the council just adopted, the balanced budget that we just adopted as well. You can see all that information. Everything we do is publicly disclosed, and we're happy to talk and have conversations about it. The number, we use two numbers, Jeff, and I guess the simplest term to say is we have close to $15 million, as you referenced, in cash over expenses. We liken it to a family account. We have $7.5 million that I referenced in a contingency reserve for emergencies. That is a dedicated savings account, similar to what families might have. We also have an additional $7 million in our unreserved account, and that is like turning the checkbook from one month to the next with $7 million. I don't know what that is like, but some of you might. So if you combine the two numbers, that is our revenue over expenditures. And so for our auditors' purposes, we have a very healthy reserve amount, and we're excited about that. What I mentioned was a contingency reserve if something should happen, and this is an account that the city had never had for many years. And so we had additional cash over expenses, but we had not had a dedicated account. So between the two sources, we have nearly 15 million. And that's contained within, I think it's page 3 of our city budget if you want to go online, and we can give you some material to help you navigate that site as well. With respect to just overall transparency, I think that this council has done a very good job, and I give Councilmember Jerry Bean a lot of credit as well. When we had budget committee workshops, they are done. It's a Brown Act committee. They are done in open session. Council members Gilbreth and Gardner took the lead on that this year. The city treasurer does have proposals on how we might use some of those reserves in the future. He is your elected city treasurer, and we are your elected city council members who set policy direction. What he's indicated in the memo that I've seen is a slight change in policy direction. And so we would need to put that on the council agenda and have discussions as to the pros and cons before moving forward with that. But we obviously want to maximize the revenue that we receive and the investment income that we receive off of those reserves without jeopardizing the reserves themselves. Shirley Harry.
Just a question on the reserves, because my memory is undoubtedly faulty, but it seems to me it's not long in the past ago, there was concern about the reserves, and they were down around 1 million.
Yeah.
Am I correct? And if so, how did we grow them?
The city between 2000 and 2006 for a few years had been spending more than we were receiving. It had been documented. It's contained in our audited financials. It was in the paper. I mean, all of these things that we know. So that checking account balance, the city didn't have a savings account, so that checking account balance had diminished every year that the city was unbalanced. So that did get down to, I think, a $2 million range at some point in it, and there were projections that it would get worse or upside down. The city made a series of changes in 2007, and I think our focus became very clear on this issue. There were hiring freezes, there were furloughs, there were also what you're talking about and how we grow a reserve through good financial management, but also not spending one-time funds. Our initial reserve, if memory recalls, was an overpayment by a utility that had not been budgeted or accounted for. So not an overpayment, but just something that we had conservatively budgeted that came in over. So we put that money, instead of the operating account, we put it in a dedicated reserve. So just having tighter controls on that, and I think Councilmember Gilbreth and Gardner and before them Councilmember Bean, all of these folks bring decades of experience in finance to the table, and I think combined with the efforts and the laser-like focus of city staff on this issue, we really have turned that position around quite a bit. Is that fair, Tina?
Hi there, Marianne Baldwin, architect and a resident. I want to say I went to the art festival with my kids, and it was fabulous. We had a wonderful time. I had to drag them out. But I also wanted to commend the city on the infrastructure improvements. It's definitely something very noticeable. In fact, I live in an older neighborhood, and we also redid all the gas lines. So I'm very grateful I'm not going to blow up anytime soon. But one thing I have noticed is water pipe leaks, and that seems to be happening fairly often. So since you're investing, I'm wondering if you guys are looking into that. It might be something that needs to be replaced, because we might be
No,
using a lot of
I'm just the
water.
solution guy. The problem guy, you're going to have to talk to somebody else. So no, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. No, thank you for the question, and this has been something. I mean, and we combine them all when we talk about infrastructure improvements. And thankfully, I think again the city staff has presented us with a variety of solutions, including one, and I'll be honest, was a water rate increase years ago that we instituted in order to specifically pay for the cost of the system. We are an old city. And we have old infrastructure. So the benefit of a 125-year anniversary is you get to learn terms like sesquicentennial, quasquicentennial. See, I still don't. The Sasquatch. Did I say Sasquatch? Whatever. So I'm a believer. It's okay. So 125-year-old city, but a lot of our pipes were, 50, 60, 70 years as well. And so these things need to be addressed. New communities to the west of us probably don't have that difficulty, but we do. And we have these older communities that we absolutely love, but it takes some extra care. Anybody that's worked on an older home or preserved an older home, Mayor Pro Tem Foster knows that. So we are planning for that. And so the council did raise water rate increases years ago specifically to make these capital improvements, both to our reservoirs that had been deteriorating on the insides and as well the pipes that run beneath our streets. So what we have asked staff to do is to combine these plans. So the Paris plan that is street repavement and the water pipeline plan to marry those two. So we have smaller instances where the water lines are improved and we might just have 5 or 6 feet repaired. So if that is scheduled to be improved, we've asked staff to coordinate and to make sure that if the street's scheduled to be improved, let's look at the water lines, let's make sure everything's done at the same time so we can overlay it and pave it completely. So that's one of the tricks that I think municipal utilities and engineering is undertaking. Fred Musavapour and Chris Diggs have done a masterful job with that plan, and we appreciate that. So I think those are the things that we're trying to do, and that's what we're talking about with more coordination and more dialogue. So the next 5 years has a lot of infrastructure investments, but the water pipeline improvements from our budgeting perspectives are a little separate, but they are very, very much a part of our infrastructure plans.
Thank you for the presentation, Pete. Jim Ferguson, Paradise Speaker. 2 questions. First of all, is there a place that we can go on the web probably to find out everything that's happening for the Sasquatch?
No. Now you're using my term. Quasquicentennial.
Centennial celebrations. And question number 2, having been a sponsor and a host for many Redlands Bicycle Classic teams over the years, is there any preference being given to the streets where the classic is being run? Because over the years, as we've hosted teams, they comment each year that the roads are getting worse and worse, and in my opinion, a good idea to focus on those streets where the bicycle classic is run, sunset, so that we project the range for the bicycle classic.
I'll take the last question first. We asked staff as part of this pavement management plan to really give us some metrics on how we can grade the streets and how we can prioritize the street improvement. And mainly, we're trying to take motion and special events, out of it. We're trying to look at vehicle miles traveled is the key determinant. How many people are traveling over that street? What is the current condition? Those are the important metrics, so we really start to build from the most used streets out. As a result of that, there is some give and take. I mean, as a result of that, residential streets do fall a little lower in the category, but your larger arterials take a priority. So that's why you've seen streets like Brookside and Citrus and where the Bike Classic ends and starts right downtown. All of those were done because of vehicle miles traveled calculations. As far as future events for the 125th, Paul, I believe there's material on the city website. We can give you some information as well that highlights the calendar of events. But Mr. Musavapour, did I handle that calculation right? VMT and is the sole is the biggest criteria. We want it shouldn't be. I live on this street and I've been here for a bunch of years and I've complained a bunch of times. I mean, we wanted to take a motion, and the council really gave staff direction. How do we move the needle on this, and how do we make improvements? And vehicle miles traveled is really the easiest and the best way to go about that. So we're starting with our most used, and we'll work down the list. And city staff is giving us a list and subject to change. But by year, you're going to see quite a bit of improvements. And I believe this fall, They're putting together a bid package now that will be incredibly large. So if you're upset about the additional cones and the slow down construction zone stuff, we apologize. There'll be some continued inconvenience, but at the end of the day, we're going to really move the needle on our infrastructure investments.
I am Lynn Schneider, and I had a question about budget. I know that there were those budget committee meetings you mentioned leading up to the budget presentation a couple of weeks ago that the budget was approved. And it was real positive comments that some of the council members made towards the citizen input and involvement in particular that last meeting. I was wondering, are you going to, because of this, perhaps move the option for citizens to be giving their input to an earlier time in the year rather than just a couple of weeks before the budget is actually approved?
Well, at any point, thank you for the question, Lane. At any point, any resident can send an email to citycouncil@cityofredlands.org. It goes to the city clerk, who routes it to all 5 of us and the city manager. So at any point, if anybody has any question about city budgeting, specifics, line items in the budget, please, I mean, this is your government, help us make it better and be part of the process. And I think the dialogue that the council had encouraged just that type of attitude. And I think Mayor Pro Tem Foster was very vocal in letting folks know. I mean, this is our community. But if you bring questions, it is incumbent upon us to have those answers. So if people put in the time and energy to read the budget, to ask questions, we will shoot you back answers. Now we have tried. Now this is part guess and check too, Lane. I mean, the last couple of years we've done budget committees. When I was on the budget committee with Councilmember Bean, we did a bit of a roadshow with Mr. Martinez, and we did 3 budget hearings, and I think a combined total of 7 people probably showed up. So if something will work, if there's a forum that we can talk about the issue that is good for the city council members, a good use of staff time, we're happy to attend and discuss that. But we also want to be thoughtful with that, with their time and everybody's time. So if there's a proper forum, or if there's a new forum that residents want to see to talk about the budget, we're happy to do that, and we're happy to consider different timetables. But above all else, this is feel free to send us your comments, send us your questions. But this is a big document, and it's a $140 million organization. So we rely on city staff members to have a grasp of their departments. Every city council member goes through this a number of times. We have separate meetings with city staff to talk about our individual questions. The budget committee works through these issues as well, and probably gets a little bit more into the weeds at times than they would than has been done in the past. So, I think that we have a good process. We're always open to making changes if it involves increased transparency. We just want to make sure that it's the right forum. Thank you, Lane. Mr. Britton?
You mentioned a metrics approach in deciding where to best use the money for repairing the city streets. I was wondering if the city also used a metrics approach in deciding whether to install the new bike lanes they have built, and whether the city will do so in deciding whether to spend more money in building more bike lanes to see how many people are actually using the bike lanes that have already been built.
Thanks, Mr. Britton. We appreciate your question, and I think you had some council dialogue as well of a similar nature. With respect to bike lanes, I think some of you have seen some very visible improvements that we've done in painting the green lanes along Brookside and Citrus. There's a lot of us who like those. I know that there is open dialogue on this. I think there's a number of ways, not just metrics. So this one is I think there's a couple added layers. One being additional grants that the city receives as a result of having a non-motorized transportation program. So our responsibility as a local agency is to have a non-motorized plan. It is supposed to include a dialogue not only with different stakeholders that could include bike riders, but should also include those in wheelchair accessible. So our responsibility is to make sure that we have this stakeholder discussion. There was, I'm not sure if you attended, I think there was a discussion last week with respect to the non-motorized transportation plan, where a lot of folks showed up. So citizen input and the availability of grants to provide the service. I think those are two key metrics we use in looking at bike lanes. If another public agency is willing to help partially offset additional bike lane striping when we're already paving the street, we're going to be open to that. If it meets our non-motorized transportation plan and is thoughtful and is done with citizen input, we're going to be thoughtful with that, and we're going to add them where appropriate. I think that this is a community that supports those, and we're going to continue to offer alternatives where it makes sense. Additional questions? Well, you know my council colleagues, Mayor Pro Tem Paul Foster, Councilmember Bob Gardner, Councilmember Patricia Gilbreth. If you have any questions or want to continue this discussion, we're happy to dialogue. City staff members are here as well. Thank you so much to the Chamber for hosting this, for Southern California Gas Company for also sponsoring, and we appreciate all your time in coming here. Thank you so much.